Please note this meeting will be live streamed. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? No. Okay, public hearings.
So we have under notice provisions of bylaw number 206808, we notice of a public hearing. Meeting for the purpose of receiving comments on the following request from the Night Cruisers for an exemption to municipal bylaws to permit a car show on Saturday, May 26, 2018 from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the track and field. One, the temporary exemption from bylaw number 751/84, section 14, being a bylaw to control the use of municipally and recreation owned property. 14D, no person shall park any vehicle in any park, recreational area on municipal property of the town of Espanol, except in those areas specifically designated by appropriate signs and notices as being areas in which vehicles may be parked. 2, temporarily closing Avery Drive from the complex to Hunter Street to traffic with the exception of emergency vehicles on Saturday, May 26, 2018 between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. to host Night Cruisers car show. And 3, a temporary exemption from certain provisions of the noise bylaw 1189/96 on Saturday, May 26, 2018 between the hours of 8 and 4 p.m. for an event being held outdoors at the track and field, being the Night Cruisers car show.
So is there someone here from Night Cruisers? Or any comments from the public?
I don't see anything different from this that I've seen in years past. Okay. I think it's very worthwhile. It brings a lot of people into the community. It's good for our businesses. It's great for the residents. We've never had a problem with these people.
Any other comments? Okay, we're into delegations. Yves Carriere, local resident.
Oh yeah, I know not the best time to talk about snowmobiling, but let's talk about snowmobiling. Just at the end of the season, noticed there was a sign around Young Place that I couldn't pass by there anymore with my snowmobile. I questioned a few councillors, as you are aware, and also found out that there was a couple of complaints. One was apparently a person at the park playing, and it was a close call with a snowmobiler. You know, it's not a groomed trail, so I kind of, you know, find that hard that a snowmobile was speeding there because, you know, you got lots of bumps. So what worries me more about that complaint is more like the park is closed. Nobody's inspecting the equipment. Plus you got open water right in a small little ravine there that a kid can fall. So maybe a sign should be showed that the place is closed and the kids shouldn't be playing on that area at that time. If the park is closed, it's closed. If it's open, that's a different story, but you know, you're not inspecting the equipment. So to me, that's a sign that it's closed. I can see in the summer why our ATV don't pass there. It's basically a park, so you know, an ATV can go anywhere on certain roads, but they can drive on roads. The reason we take those trails is because of our carbides. You know, carbides are expensive, and you got to find a way to get off the pavement and follow that. And this is what is great. And this trail has been there, by my view, over 25 years. And nobody's complained over 25 years. And all of a sudden, we get two complaints, we put a barricade. Let's block it. So anytime somebody complains, I hope that's not going to be the view of council or the town of Espanola to put up a barricade every time there's a complaint. I can complain on a lot of things too, you know. It's not the point. The point is we're open for business, snowmobiling, for ATVs, and that's what attracted me to this municipality. Because you know, I had the choice of moving around, but I like this place. I've seen all the ATVs. I thought this is great. This is Northern Ontario. Perfect. Now the other complaint, hey, if somebody moves around and is not used to snowmobile, he'll get used to it. Most of those people that use that trail are my age or older. And we're by 6 o'clock, we're home. We're not driving at 2 or 3 in the morning, you know. And normally when there's a complaint, and I hope that's how we take things, is if somebody breaks the law, and I've seen in your bylaws, you've put safeguards for that, you know. you can get charged, you're supposed to drive a certain speed limit and all that. Well, if somebody breaks the law, catch the culprit, let's not penalize everybody. And what scares me is this is what's probably gonna happen after this meeting, is the council is gonna say, hey, we're gonna review the whole thing again there. You know, and we're gonna look at it, let's not reinvent the wheel, guys, okay? Because next thing you know, you're gonna restrict people. Hey, next thing you know, Queensway's full of trailers. We're parking our trailers to get on the trail, right? And then you're congested another way. So let's not create other problems by trying, let's just get the person that's apparently speeding there, catch him. Leave the other guys alone. So I hope you reconsider taking that sign off, because I think it's not fair to all the other people that are there. And I think I think the people should have been put aware before a sign went up. I didn't like the way it went up. But, you know, there was apparently a safety concern. We need to deal with it, and I understand that part. But the point is there's sometimes people breaking the law on an ATV speeding or doing things they're not supposed to. You deal with that issue. You just don't set up roadblocks all over the place. So I hope council reconsiders, you know, and let me know what's going on, you know. So your first bylaw for ATVs and all that, hey, it's got the restriction where parks are not allowed to go. But the blanket bylaw, I think you should be revising that also. The blanket bylaws don't go far in life anymore with the municipal act that's changed. So the 1984 bylaw doesn't stand too long anywhere. So just to let you know. Okay? Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have Ken Niles.
Good evening. Just the other day, I'm running a taxi system in town here, and I'm a delivery shipper, also, as you know. I went in front of the complex, parked my vehicle, went inside to get somebody, come back out and had a ticket. And I shook my head and said, why? Like, why? I'm a delivery service. So I gotta get out of the truck and run in and drop the pizza, come out. Am I gonna get a ticket every time? That's why I'm asking. This is in front of the complex. So I'm just asking the question.
Well, in a delegation, you're sort of not necessarily asking questions, but telling us
what is the bylaw? Like, what is my right? Am I allowed to? Am I allowed to go in and get one of your employees and take them out? I got people that can't see that I gotta go in and get. That was maybe 5 minutes. Then I went over to the mall. They're telling my drivers not to park in front of the mall now, because they're gonna get a ticket. And we're waiting for somebody to come up. Why? What's this all about? So, just asking them.
Okay, and I think in your letter you suggested maybe a sign.
Designated area.
Designated
So we
area
don't
for a
get
limited
harassed.
time period as
So
a
we don't get
drop-off.
harassed by the police.
Yeah,
It's plain and simple.
okay.
So, and if you give me a designated area, we'll stay there. People know we're there and we'll pick them up. And I'm literally picking up your employees at the complex. This is what I was doing. And I come out and I just shook my head. I'm not gonna waste taxpayers' money to fight it. But if this is gonna happen every time, I can guarantee I won't be hit down. Guaranteed. I got 7 vehicles going down. I don't think there was any right for it. Give me a warning, come and talk to me. I got a ticket to prove it.
Yeah.
So what did I do wrong? Somebody tell me what I did wrong.
Well, maybe
It says loading area. So I got 20 pizzas to bring in, so what do? I was told to go in the parking lot or go in the handicap person. I don't have a ticket to sit in the handicap place. Like,
yeah.
that's why I'm just Please, somebody explain something to me. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, well, thank you very much, okay? We'll take this on advisement, and we'll probably follow through with some action of some sort.
Let me know what my rights are.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't sound right either, okay? And you had a suggestion that that may go to staff, okay?
Okay.
It'll be up to council.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next person is Wayne Ashton, private citizen, and assistant fire chief.
Well, Honorable Mayor and Council, as you mentioned, in the first place, I got to be candid and upfront. I'm reading this presentation so I can stick to the points and not wander. For those who don't know me, my name is Wayne Ashton, and my wife and I have been residents in Espanola since 1969. We have raised a family here, own a house here, and paid taxes here, so I'm definitely a bona fide citizen of Espanola. I joined the fire department in 1972, became a captain in or about 1984, and am now your assistant fire chief. 45 years of service. Of course, recently I've been observing intently the discussions, back and forth rhetoric concerning our proposed new fire hall and equipment concerns. I also understand that you as our mayor and council have received a mandate to save taxpayers' money. After many surveys over the last 8 to 10 years, thousands of dollars have been spent, culminating in the fact that we need a new fire hall. The plans at the time were presented about 2 years ago at a cost to the town of thousands of dollars and were subsequently rejected by you due to the fact that you decided it was an exorbitant cost to the town. This was your duty and you did it. The proposal was of a 12,000 square foot two-story structure with drive-through truck bays, and after some deliberation this was reduced to 9,600 square feet. Then up until 2 weeks ago it was 8,000 square feet. A single story hall with 4 truck bays. I attended that meeting, and to be honest, I myself was quite satisfied with this presentation, and it appeared to me that you may have done due diligence to your taxpayers. Then at the regular council meeting that followed, a proposal was brought in by a local contractor to build a 7,900 square foot hall with 4 truck bays, coming under the previous estimate by approximately $400,000. I again was impressed by the end of the meeting. I was impressed, and by the end of the meeting, I was of the opinion the matter was pretty much resolved. Then the last councilor before dug his heels in and made this statement. I still don't think Espanola requires a fire hall that large. The decision was then made to hold this over and have another meeting of the whole at which you voted to turn down both the 8,000 square foot proposal and the 7,900 square foot proposal. I'm curious, where and how was it discussed to come to this decision? Did I miss a meeting? Councilor Dufour, your thoughts are not predicated by modern facts and practices. Regardless how you convinced the other councilors to change their minds, where did you get the expertise to make such a statement? In fact, when is the last time anyone from this council has come into our fire hall during a training night or after a large fire to see what our needs really are? Especially during the last year when we started discussing our concerns about lack of space. We have repeatedly stated we welcome you and any of the public to attend. Honorable Mayor and Council, in my opinion, this decision is essentially wrong and short-sighted. I completely agree with my chief, it's like you don't care. In all due respect, one of our one-year recruits has likely forgotten more about firefighting than any of you know. And I don't mean that facetiously, but basically a 7,000 square foot structure will not meet the need of 28 firefighters and their equipment or the needs of the community. I'm afraid that in your zeal to cut taxes, you have not researched your subject very well. The fact you've reduced the size of the hall because of not keeping our oldest pumper tanker is simply like a retail merchant cutting his business so the staff he has can handle it rather than hire more staff. There comes a point where saving pennies can now cost dollars in the future. You expressed concerns about throwing your future council under the bus. In 1978, our fire department purchased another truck due to recommendations from the Ontario Fire Marshal. Since 1978, I want you to think about how many new homes have been built in the no hydrant service areas of this town. We've also had expansion in the last few years. So we sold our second pumper and bought a brand new pumper tanker that has a small 625 gallon per minute pump. We now have 341 dwellings in our town not serviced by hydrants. Since 2010, we have had the following built in Espanola: 31 new houses, 6 commercial buildings, 1 industrial building, and 1 institutional building. We need another pumper tanker, and we already have one. What's the issue? Baldwin cannot be depended upon to supply us with another tanker, so we can save money. Just yesterday, I talked to Baldwin's mayor, and today the Baldwin fire chief. They confirmed this. They will gladly meet their obligation to help us in emergencies, but they are not a substation of the Espanola Fire Department. Would you allow Baldwin to constantly depend on Espanola for a payloader and operator? I think not. In regard to not keeping our old pumper and tanker, Councillor Yocum put it in proper perspective by saying this would be a disservice to the citizens of Espanola. Also, insurance companies will be watching carefully as to this community's firefighting capabilities. The people of Espanola who have built in no hydrant areas of the town are now paying a higher premium for fire insurance because we do not have an adequate supply of water to their homes. Also consider the value of some of those homes that are built there now. Lee Valley Road, Clear Lake Drive, Old Webwood Road, Jacqueline Road, Panage Road. There's some homes out there that are worth a lot of money. To reduce insurance costs to these citizens, future councils may have to take the brunt of purchasing a tanker at tomorrow's dollars, and we already own one. In the past Oracle poll taken in 2016, question 25 asked, in your opinion, how important is it to have the local fire department being equipped with adequate firefighting equipment? 79.4% responded important or very important. Also, to remind you, your firemen are not asking for more money or increased benefits. Last year, your firemen made under $11 per hour. That's under the minimum wage. All we ask is to have the proper equipment and the space to use it to protect the people and property of Espanola. In closing, I ask you, revisit your decision and allow us to keep our old pumper tanker, and as a result, subsequently adjust the size of the fire hall appropriately. Don't be the council that went down in history as a council that negatively impacted our fire department, so it became a surround and drown fire department. As stated by the fire chief often, sticking to the plan of keeping old 9120 and building an 8,000 square foot fire hall will not impact the town and will impact the town very little, and will allow us, this very proud fire department, to continue to serve you well into the future. And I might add at this point, at 5 o'clock this afternoon, we received word that the Ontario government is now adopting the new fire curriculum plans of the fire officer or the firefighter curriculum that is coming down. Firefighters are now going to be mandatory. They're going to have to be trained to a certain standard. If they aren't trained to that standard, they won't be able to make entry into a building. So that's another thing we have to look forward to. So we do need the room for training. And I'm going to let if the fire chief explains it, he can maybe explain the new system later, but that's all I have for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, the last delegation is Espanola Firefighters Association.
I'd like to say chief with the reading. Although we tried to prepare a speech that didn't overlap, some obviously important points will overlap. Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council, as well as those listening from home. Thank you in advance for your time tonight. My name is Mark Liliev, and I'm a volunteer firefighter of 5 years, as well as a taxpayer in Espanola. After completing my degree, I chose to move back to Espanola and start my family here. Being 32 years of age with a young family, I hope to live here for many years to come. That is why this is so near and dear to me. As such, I have volunteered to represent the Espanola Firefighters Association today. I want to convey that the views today are those of the association and not the fire chief. The association operates as a separate, united voice to ensure the safety and betterment of the department and that the services provided to the residents are held in the highest regard. I would like to open by reiterating that the apparatuses that we have, as there still seems to be confusion as to what we currently own. Our primary attack unit, which is a pumper, is a 1999 Freightliner that holds 5 passengers, which we refer to as 9110. 9120 is a 1993 Ford and is a pumper tanker. Lastly, we have our rescue truck, which is referred to as 9130. This last unit is a support vehicle, meaning it only hauls personnel as well as equipment. This unit has no fire suppression capabilities. It comes to many residents' surprise as they become educated with our fleet that we do not currently have a tanker, nor is there one in the immediate future. Our current fleet composition is limited when fighting fires without close proximity to a hydrant. We have always found ways to get the job done, mostly by leaning on outlying municipalities' assets, which they allow us to lean on as goodwill gesture only, and should not be misconstrued to be an obligation. Which brings me to my point that today we are asking that council reconsider the need of the fourth bay. I implore you to recognize the limitations of our fleet today so that a fourth bay can be added to the design to meet the needs of today as well as the needs of tomorrow. I would like to take a minute to represent my friends, family, and fellow taxpayers and remind council that the decision we make on the number of bays needs to be accommodating to the future services and not be designated with only today's needs in mind. The design parameters that are being presented may seem like leaps and bounds from the current facility. That's because they are. The decision makers need to appreciate that the facilities constructed were put in place many years ago. The standards are not the same, our township has grown, our department capabilities and service offerings have expanded. We need to construct a facility that will again allow us to provide these services today and be able to stand up to the test of time for another 50 years and accommodate the services of the future, whatever that may be. There have been many meetings and much discussion throughout our township regarding this topic. At first, it was popular opinion that the fire department did not need a new fire hall and did not need a new fire truck. Slowly but surely, we have worked together to present the facts, and we recognize that the fire hall and the apparatus replacement is an absolute must and cannot be ignored. The immediate need is to revisit the addition of the fourth bay. Let me explain what a fourth bay would mean to both firefighters and residents of Espanola. First of all, the fourth bay would allow us to keep our current pumper tanker, which we could use strictly as a tanker. This would allow us to not rely as heavily on mutual aid, as we would have some capability of shuttling water ourselves, since we are responsible for a lot of areas with no hydrant service. Some of these areas include the Trailer Park, Lee Valley Road, Clear Lake Drive, Jacqueline Road, and Old Wetwood Road, to name a few. Mutual aid agreements are not contracts and are based on factors such as equipment and firefighter availability and can be canceled or even denied at any time. As a great example, Sudbury Fire was one of the sole reasons why the downtown fire on March 19, 2012 did not take down the entire downtown core. Without the ladder truck from Sudbury, the damage would have been much more substantial. Sudbury is no longer part of a mutual aid association with Espanola, which means that we may not have access to vital pieces of attack equipment should another large fire occur. Having Baldwin to provide a tanker is a bonus. However, response times are typically in the 20-minute or more range and may be too late. A great example is the Trailer Park fire last summer. As a pumper operator, which was my first live fire as an operator, I vividly remember having to downgrade our attack efforts as a direct result of the lack of water. This not only compromised our ability to suppress the fire in a timely manner, it also placed the lives of firefighters and residents in needless jeopardy. Here are some stats that are very important to remember. These are our current benchmarks that we have come to expect of ourselves and that we train to. I hope to see you jot them down. This is how important they are. It takes 7 minutes to empty our portable tank. It takes 15 minutes to refill 9120 and bring the water back, and that was only to the trailer park, which was less than a kilometer away. I am a numbers guy, but you don't have to be a numbers person to see the issue here. This leaves 8 minutes of time where things can get out of hand, not to mention an event where we have a second structure fire. As you can see, there are significant risks that can be mitigated with the addition of a fourth bay. Truck composition could be decided at a later time. The second benefit is that for a small cost, we can position the fire hall for potential future growth. To clarify, the approximate cost based off discussions with local professionals would be approximately $100,000 in 2018 terms for the fourth bay. The truck to fill the bay has been paid for long ago. There is a cost to 9120 in maintenance, but the budget is $2,000 per year, and we could save $600 of that by not needing to certify the pump. If a 3-bay hall is built and the town grows, the hall will need to be expanded and the fire hall talks start up once again. We have seen what trying to adapt a current structure to fit the current needs will cost. The unknown of future building codes and requirements makes additions costly. What will the cost be in 20 years to build a new hall or attempt to adapt the new one? Do you really want to burden your kids and or grandchildren? The additional bay will allow for future for a future with growth and prosperity in our local economy and allow for continuity in services, which is what my family and I, as well as a lot of other families in Espanola, look forward to. It has been stated many times by council that the population is declining. The truth is, this figure has absolutely no bearing on what the needs of the Espanola Fire Department are. Regardless of the population of Espanola, taxes are a function of properties and inherent value, not the amount of occupants inside of a dwelling. The fire department's responsibility is to protect the structures and residents of the community. The figure that you should be concerned about is the amount of structures Espanola has. These are the facts that we have obtained from our building department. Since 2010, Espanola has seen on average 4 new homes built per year. Many of these homes are on Lee Valley Road, Clear Lake Drive, Jackman Road, and Old Webwood Road, which does not have hydrant service. It has also seen 6 new commercial properties, 1 new industrial building, and 1 new institutional building, not to mention the new $23 million school being constructed. According to the building department, residents and business invest on average $8 million per year in additions and upgrades. The population may be declining, but construction and real estate investing continues to thrive. As stated by Councillor Yoakum, if we do not build this 4th bay, we will be doing major disservice to those who live out of hydrant service. The first disservice is that we are doing is not providing them with the fire protection they not only deserve, but are paying for. I do not believe that telling them Baldwin will be there will make them feel safer due to response times which could be in excess of 20 minutes. Our response time from a deep sleep to hoses off the truck is 6 minutes. The second disservice they are getting is on insurance rates. The 4th bay may not save them in property tax dollars, however I would argue that they would be getting more value for their taxes. They could, however, be seeing a potential insurance cost decrease. By having at least 2 fire apparatus capable of shuttling water, the Espanola Fire Department could be accredited as being a tanker shuttle service. In order to get this accreditation, a fire department needs at least 1 pumper or pumper tanker, which would be at the fire, and 2 more apparatus to shuttle water. This can be any combination of tanker or pumper tanker. A 4th bay will allow us to have this combination and as such help to potentially reduce insurance rates for some of our residents. Lastly, most of these residents living in these areas are surrounded by forest. As a means to reduce costs in the past, we have signed a contract with the MNR to fight forest fires within a certain area. As an example, if a fire were to start in behind the houses on the south side of the Queensway, we would be responsible for fighting that fire. If it got too big, we would be able to call the MNR for help, kind of like a mutual aid agreement. Again, by this time, it might be much larger and put more residents at risk. In closing, I again ask that you reconsider a design that incorporates 4 bays. Not only does this allow for better fire protection for areas not protected by hydrant service, but it will show you that as a council, you as a council believe that this town can succeed in the future through forward thinking. I believe that we can be a town that people want to move to, whether it be for retirement or to raise a family. In order to right the wrongs of the past, we must plan for the future and build a framework that will allow for success. All that we as an association can ask is that the health and safety of the firefighters and the residents are the top priority, and the decision being made is not for the sake of saving $100,000. Firefighters, like council, don't do what we do for the money. We do it because we want to help the residents of Espanola. We would all like to go home at the end of the day today and in the future happy and healthy, and not look back and wonder why dollars were chosen over the health and welfare of those who selflessly devote their time to protect and preserve the lifestyle of others. We trust that you will do the right thing, and for that our families thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go next on to the part 1, the consent agenda. Or question period, excuse me. Any questions? Okay. So
Your Honor, your worship,
okay.
I request a severance on E2, please.
You want severance on D2?
E.
E2? Okay. And Bob?
I would like to request that we sever D1, which is the fire hall as well, please.
Okay.
Since we're doing it now, we're not doing the meeting, I can do it anytime.
Did you say E2 or D2?
He said E.
E, okay. And, okay. We're gonna sever, just have a second here. Yeah, we sever D1 and E2. Yeah.
For part one of the consent agenda, moved by Councillor Bob Yocum, second by Councillor Ray Duvall, be it resolved that items A1 to F2, with the exception of item D1 and E2, contained in part one consent agenda, be adopted.
Okay, any questions or comments on A1? A2? A3? A4? A5? Okay, Ron?
I think the 85 in the minutes it was missed about, I know we said things about the fire hall offices, but I think it was mentioned 3 offices in the RFP, and I didn't see it in the minutes.
That wasn't part of the resolution.
That wasn't part of the
but you can put it in
resolution
there.
as
No.
that would be built into how they lay out the configuration, okay? That part of it. That's what I was, so it wasn't part of the actual resolution that we had. Okay, B2. D2. D3. E1, what, did you have something?
I was just going to say under D2, Your Worship, I know there was one councillor mentioned here earlier that he had seen an article in the paper where a homeowner, when they tried to recoup the cost of fighting the fire, I guess the insurance was rebelling against the cost going to the fire department, and they went after the homeowner. And I remember that incident, it made the news, of course. And the council retracted from that. And I mentioned that here when we were looking at drafting this, that I want to make sure that it's only recouped from fire insurance purposes and not from the residents of the home. So we don't lose sight of that.
Okay, D3, E1, E3, E4, F1, F2, and I guess, what's this here? That's part of F2? Yeah, it is, okay. Okay, so we have a motion here, be resolved, items A1 to F2 with the exception of D1 and E2 contained in part 1 of the consent agenda be adopted. All those in favor? Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so moving into the regular agenda, we have item D1 was severed. So I'll read that resolution, moved by Councillor, oh yeah, so this is the original. Oh yeah. Moved by Councillor, originally Ron Dempsey, second by Councillor Bob Yocum, be it resolved that is recommended by the Committee of the Whole that a request for proposals for a design-build fire hall project be prepared, which will include the functional requirement included in Perry & Perry Architects Report of April 20th, 2018. Submissions must meet the requirements of the Ontario Building Code and be able to be accommodated on the existing property. And then to include space for 2 pumper tankers and 1 rescue, and a total area of 68 to 7,200 square feet.
Okay, comments. Bob?
I asked for it to be severed deliberately. I'm not going to repeat everything I said the last one, and what I seem to have been quoted on tonight. You've heard the presentation tonight with even more stats that we might not have been aware of. Most of them I was, but anyway, it's neither here nor there. And I was hoping that maybe council wanted to, and you've seen the emails that have come recently with more information and requests. Just wondering if anybody in council wanted to reconsider and go back to the original plan, which I always thought was in place, that we were going to keep 3 trucks plus the rescue unit. In other words, the equivalent of a 4-bay haul, 1 story, however it's built. Does anybody want to reconsider their position?
I'm not saying I'm reconsidering. I'd like to thank the 2 gentlemen that did a nice job here. And I had talked to you actually earlier before this, Your Worship, and we were talking. And talking to a contractor, this is a design build. It's not being designed by someone and a contractor bidding and tendering out for that. They're going to design it and come back to us with a proposal. I wish we could, because I like that proposal that was presented here by those 2 gentlemen a couple of weeks back. And I don't know if it's out of order, Your Worship, but I wish they could come back with us and look at giving us the 2 or 3 bays as compared to the 4 that they had in the original, with a price for both, to see if this, how substantial the savings are. Because some contractors seem to think that the savings is very minute, while others seem to think it's large. And I don't know if it's possible to get, if contractors are willing in the design build, to give us both proposals with a price for each. And I don't know if the rest are willing to listen to that.
Okay, Bob, Ken?
Ken Ham was up first, I think. Sorry.
I would do that tonight, but this is a lot of good information we got here. We had emails from firefighters, which I was appreciative of. Some good points in there. There was a bit of inappropriate points in there that shouldn't have been brought up. We should be professional, but that wouldn't sway my decision. I'd have to look at all of this new stuff now. Some of it is new to me, maybe not to Bob, but to me. And I'm certainly willing to look at it, but not in this moment of time.
Okay, did I understand that right? What you're suggesting is maybe we should be delaying this motion until we've had more time to think about it, or just so I understand what you're saying.
I didn't necessarily say that, but I would like to I would like to mull this over for sure. This is you know, there's some new information here to me. That's my opinion.
Okay, Ron?
And I see where he's coming from. There's new information, I think, that came out for all of us. But I don't know if Councillor Ken is opposed to having, if it's okay with the contractors that are going to do a design build, to give us both options with a price for both, and let us look at those options. We can still choose the one we want, but we have an option of looking and see if the savings are relevant. That's all I'm asking.
Bob?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think we'd have to be very careful asking a contractor to come in here and do those 2 things in public, seeing as how in the end this will go to public tender. He might not be willing to do that. I would be, the real issue becomes, there's still going to always remain, there is going to be a cost if we have a 4-bay garage. Should we be keeping, and this goes back to the original points I made before, do we need 4 trucks, well, pardon me, 3 active pumper tanker units, or whatever you want to call it, 1 pumper, 2 tankers, whatever, or not? And that's the bottom line. But I'm willing to defer. I'd be willing to support if Ken wants to make a motion to defer this, and staff may be able to get some reliable information, and it can come back one more time, but not a month from now. It's time. This has been going on since 2008.
Ron?
I'm going to go again. I don't want to defer. And if contractors are willing to come out with both proposals, let them. If they're not, they only have to come back with the one. And we can judge them from that point on.
Karen?
Would it be possible to send out tenders for 2 different building sizes?
Well,
Is that in left
I
field?
mean, we can probably put it in the RFP that they bid on, you know, that they quote 3 bays, 4 bays. I don't know what the response will be, but I mean, maybe it's something we can do.
Is that-
I don't,
is that
I don't
other
know if
point?
it's common.
Pardon?
I don't know if it's common practice.
Right, okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
But it's not illegal.
No, it's not illegal to do that.
They don't have to bid.
Do we want to do, I tend to, like, I'm for the, I have been for the 3 pumper tankers, okay? And I think and it's just roughly 10% of the cost of the new fire hall. It makes sense for us to do that.
And I think that's out of order, your worship, because you've already had a motion on that
Yeah.
the last
I-
time. So we can't go back against that. I think that's out of order now.
There's been no motion. We just took
We had a
a
general
little
consensus.
consensus. That's, you can change your mind.
Yeah,
We can, but first we need to look at the buildings.
yeah, but we have this motion here.
Backwards.
We can revise this motion if we want to tonight, can we?
Sure.
Okay, I sort of thought so, because it was committee of a whole, that goes to council, and the
Yeah.
council has to pass the motion, so, are we, I'm gonna ask Cynthia, were you gonna say, can you offer some advice?
If I could just comment, I mean, we could always go back to the architect and ask for a better idea of what figure it might be, the savings of the 1 bay, just for clarification. I think if we go to tender and ask contractors for a 3-bay design, a 4-bay design, I mean, we're not appreciating the amount of work that goes into putting that tender together. And I think we're not gonna maybe attract very many tenders that way.
Okay, well, thank you.
The only thing I have about going back to the architects is it's money again. And we've seen their numbers as compared to what the proposal was by a local business here. And it was almost $500,000. And that's why I prefer if we could go, write a request for proposal, give the people the option. You can bid 3-bay, you can bid 4-bay, you can put both bids in. And then we'll judge it at this table. And see if the savings are good enough for us, then we'll make a decision now.
Or how about a quote for 3 bays with the additional cost for a 4th bay?
Whichever, as long as we can see the numbers for both.
Okay, anybody else have anything to offer here?
I do.
No.
Sorry. Okay, we have a resolution said, be it resolved that as recommended, the request for proposals submissions will include a space for 2 pumper tankers and one rescue. Okay, do we want to revise to include space for 2 pumper tankers and 1 rescue and the additional cost for a 4th bay?
Yes.
Is that a reasonable thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, is everybody,
Rather than additional cost for a 4th bay,
okay,
probably, maybe it's better worded, so we're not limiting somebody thinking they have to have, we want 4 bays, better worded with space for a 4th unit. X number, or 1,000 square feet, whatever, however you want to word it. You know what I'm saying?
okay, yeah, that's, works out.
I don't want to put square footage, your worship.
No,
Let
like
them
with
put the
space.
base.
Okay.
Let
to
them
include-
decide.
Yeah,
So this is the resolution, so you'll have to write the additional on here, and
Okay.
then we'll get those councilors. to-
okay, yeah, I was reading over here recommendation, sorry. Be resolved, request for proposals for design build fire hall project to prepare, which will include the functional requirements included in Perry Architects report of April 20th. Submissions must meet the requirements of OBC and be able to accommodate on existing property to include space for 2 pumper tankers and 1 rescue, and a total area of around 68 to 7,200 square feet, and to include the cost for
An additional bay.
and the additional cost
Cost for an additional.
includes the cost house shumper tank. Okay, so
Who the heck is that? Oh, okay. Don't decipher chicken scratch.
Can we? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll read the motion again. Be resolved that is recommended by the committee of the whole that a request for proposals for a design build fire hall project be prepared, which will include the functional requirements included in Perry and Perry Architects report of April 20th, 2018. Submissions must meet the requirements of the OBC and be able to be accommodated on existing property, to include space for 2 pumper tankers and a rescue, and a total area of 6,800 to 7,200 square feet, and to include the cost for an additional bay to house a pumper tanker. Any more comments or questions?
Could I, just ask for clarification, because we're gonna have to get the RFP drafted. Is that like 4 bays within the 7,200?
No, that would be beyond that.
Okay.
Okay. All those in
Just one second. Cynthia, when you said you were gonna ask Perry and Perry?
No, not now.
Hey, no, it was just a question.
I could
You
have,
were
but that
just-
wasn't the direction.
Yeah, you were just gonna ask them to see what the cost would be like for an additional bay?
Yeah, like the square footage
Sure.
cost for,
No,
you
we're not
know,
doing that.
garage bay.
Okay, I see. Thanks. I just wanted to clear my...
No, no.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
So item E2, that was severed from the consent agenda, moved by Councillor Ron Dupussy, second by Councillor Bob Yocum. Be resolved that is recommended by the Corporate Services Committee, bylaw 2807/17, be adopted, being a bylaw for establishing and maintaining a system for collection, removal, and disposal of waste within the town of Espanola.
Comments? Karen?
I find this, we've been on this for quite a while. Staff has done a lot of work. We've had this at corporate service, we've had it at council. I read that over and it's very confusing. It's very complicated bylaw. And the fines are complicated for what we're fining them for, and I still have the problem of when we, or if we do get a bylaw officer, that we won't be able to put the clamps on him and say, for instance, we can't fine that person, we have to give them a warning first. I think we should defer this until we can go over it. This is very complicated. I don't think anybody who read this would understand it, or very few people would. We've all had a lot of questions, but we kind of got tired and we let it go last time. But for me, that should be set aside for now while we handle some
So
more.
you'd like to
corporate-
bring it back to corporate services again?
Well, I'd like to defer that for a while until we get some of these. I'm not saying they're not important, but we haven't had a problem with this. But we have some very important issues that demand more time than this bylaw, in my view.
I feel the same, Your Worship, other than just voting it down on my behalf. I said at corporate services, we're starting to penalize people. And from asking the staff, we really haven't had many problems, if any, very few. I know there's a couple of isolated problems, and you brought up one, Your Worship, at our meeting, and I like that one. But to put all these penalties and fines and everything in place just doesn't sit right with me. I'm opposed to it. So if you want to defer it, fine. If you want to take the vote, that's fine too.
Bob?
Just a comment. I mean, it's just a comment. I don't know why corporate would have passed it without. Anyway, after a year, I was kind of glad to see it coming here. I didn't find any issues with it. I've looked at a lot of other municipalities. I don't find any problems. I don't have a problem penalizing people who who can't see, follow the rules. But nonetheless, that's aside from that. I was going to comment on it anyway, had it not been come out here. And I do feel in one way we've gone backwards. Many communities across the country are taking steps to reduce what goes to their landfills. And I really was surprised when 1 week, at at least three councillors at committee level supported the reduction to 2 bags. And a week later at a council meeting, they go back to wanting to keep the 4-bag limit. I'm sure we've got thousands and thousands of dollars of staff time invested in revising the bylaw and educating residents to improve the recycling and prepare for the 2-bag limit, and they've been doing it, and you can see it by just walking the streets, but whatever. I know the provincial plan is now delayed, and who knows what it's going to look like when they get done, and we all know the reasons why it's delayed, to go to producer-paid recycling, but if this is going to be deferred, which I would support, then I would like the committee to reconsider the 2-bag limit. We've educated people, we spent a year training them. Why do it all over again? If we're trying to save people, trying to save tax dollars, we are not doing it by flip-flopping like this and looking quite, anyways, whatever. Thank you.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that we defer this indefinitely.
So that's,
So,
Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, so what's the consensus there? Okay,
It's a motion.
Finish
Needs to
discussion?
call on it.
let's have a vote on that. If, do you have a seconder for that?
No, not yet.
I second it.
Okay,
we need,
and I don't know if we needed that or not.
You don't, you can
Okay.
vote to defer it.
Okay, for those for deferring this, all those in favor? Okay.
So, into the regular meeting agenda, so item G1, moved by Councillor Heather Malott, second by Councillor Ken Dupussy. Be it resolved that council authorizes, 1, a temporary exemption from bylaw number 751/84, section 14, being a bylaw to control the use of municipally and recreationally owned property. 14D, no person shall park any vehicle in any park, recreational area, or on municipal property of the town of Espanola except in those areas specifically designated by appropriate signs and notices as being areas in which vehicles may be parked. 2, temporarily closing Avery Drive from the complex to Hunter Street to traffic with the exception of emergency vehicles on Saturday, May 26, 2018 between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. to host the Night Cruisers Car Show. And 3, a temporary exemption from certain provisions of the noise bylaw 1189/96 on Saturday, May 26, 2018 between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. for an event being held outdoors at the track and field, the Night Cruisers Car Show.
Okay, comments? All those in favor?
Item G2, moved by Councillor Ken Dupussy, second by Councillor Heather Malott. Be it resolved that council approve a recognition award budget of $15 per employee for the 42 employees of the 2 departments that achieved 0 reportable injuries in 2017, which were the fire and administration departments.
Comments?
I certainly in favor of safety awards. Although it's not what we want people to work safely all the time, not to get an award or a presentation or a gift. But do we recognize all departments having to have the same full 1 year without a problem in their departments? Because I know we worked in industry before, Your Worship, you and I, and different parts of the industry had different circumstances. And with that in mind, some departments took longer, had to work safety or longer. Well, I look at people like our public works, when they're out with heavy equipment and digging ditches. They have to meet the same criteria as an office worker, and I'm not saying office workers can't get hurt. But I think we should try to develop a policy where maybe we look at the more physical and dangerous aspects of some jobs as compared to others when we offer these awards, because some groups may never ever qualify. And I know our firefighters work in dangerous situations. Hopefully they never have a problem. But I would like our safety committee, and we have one, to look at those options for various departments and come back with recommendations to us. Not that I'm opposing this, but I think we can do better in the future.
Anybody else?
I agree.
Yeah. All those in favor of the motion? And that would be the purview of Cynthia. If we were to ask staff to look at that, what committee would we go through for that?
So we have a joint health and safety committee.
Okay,
So maybe we could bring it to corporate services for a resolution.
okay, okay.
Okay, item G3, moved by Councillor Heather Malott, second by Councillor Ken Dupussy. Be it resolved that Council for the Town of Westmoreland appoint Wishart Municipal Law Group to provide legal services in accordance with WMG Silver Package 1 effective May 1st, 2018, and a bylaw be prepared to execute the agreement.
Okay, any comments? Okay,
I have a concern about this, and of course we can't say too much because our meeting was in camera. And we had one last Thursday with Mr. Kassan. I asked a number of questions, quite a few questions, and I got certain answers that don't seem to be practiced down the road, for instance. He said no to us, but it's being done in Sudbury, and I'm a little leery of this. I'm confused over why one community can do something and the other can't. And I don't know, I have no education in law, but there's something doesn't fit for me.
any more comments?
I'd like to know, are you asking for this to be deferred, or?
I have no idea what to do with this. I just don't seem,
Well, do you want-
this is hard because we were in camera.
Do you want to defer?
I wasn't
at this
satisfied
point?
with the answers I got when other communities can do something that we're not allowed to do. And he may be right, I have no idea. I haven't had time to research that.
Anybody else? Okay, Bob?
I think all we're doing, this is just for day-to-day operations, really,
No,
as I understand it.
Oh, you're
it includes everything.
Yeah,
On the back
I
page.
realize it, but this just gives us the access, where we could save a few bucks for the day-to-day requirements for,
I know that the everyday
because
things.
we have a choice to do it.
Pardon?
We have a choice whether we use. This is, yeah. So let me just, does this lock us into using this firm, I guess the question's for Cynthia, lock us into using this firm for everything? Or is this just the day-to-day routine inquiries like he lists out?
Yeah.
So we're not locked into using them for something specific? Okay. In that case, I don't have a problem with it in that case, because we can always change for other, we can hire different lawyers for specific functions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, I would support it in that case. Which I think would address what you're saying, I think.
Okay, Ray?
You done well?
Yeah, oh, sorry,
Okay.
yeah.
No, it's
Totally.
okay. I just wanted to check. I have to agree with Councillor Kent on this. You were asking questions, and you know how well you were there, and the answers weren't very responsive. Yes and no. It's not a good answer. So nonetheless, because we have to pay, I think it's $6,000 that I saw in there. I'm thinking maybe we should table this for a little while and maybe check some other resources if we can. Are there any other resources out there?
Yeah, we can do that.
That would be my idea, I guess, but to check something else out.
Okay, anybody else for deferring this at all?
Alex, I do.
Yeah.
So we're gonna table this then, if that's what the general consensus is?
Until we get more time to check other things out.
Okay. Who's in favor of tabling this? Just so who's in favor of tabling this? Okay,
So just
yeah. Okay. Okay, I guess we're into correspondence. Oh, yeah. Next council meeting, I'm gonna be out of town on the afternoon of the afternoon of the Tuesday. Okay, Bob, I gather, is out of town. I'm here in the morning, okay, and so the question is, we've already advertised that we're gonna have our budget meeting that date. I can't remember what.
What the bylaw adopted. That's what we advertised.
Yeah, so we've advertised that. So, we have a couple of choices, okay? We can, we don't know if Ron's gonna be back. So, if we hold the meeting in the evening, then we have to choose somebody else to chair the meeting, okay? If we hold a meeting in the morning, I can be there, and that would give us five, maybe six if Ron was there, and Bob can't make it that day anyway. So what I like to do
Is there much coming up on that agenda?
I think it's mainly the budget, I don't know.
Could we have a special budget meeting to pass it, or a special meeting a different day?
No, it's been advertised for that day.
Oh, it has, okay.
I'm out, I'm at a nonprofit meeting in Sudbury.
Okay, Bill, for you to be there, you could have it in there.
She's not here.
I'm not here.
Yeah, we know, how many do you have then?
Four.
You have at least four, if not
Okay.
five.
Yeah, 4.
If I'm correct, I think we only have to advertise for 24 hours, is that not true?
Yes, but what we're saying is we have to give notice when we're, with our intention to adopt the budget.
Yes.
How much notice?
So, well, yeah, it's only so many hours. The problem is that with the paper, the timing that it goes out.
Okay,
We
so-
can correct that. We can get a notice out if that's what council chooses.
Is it Monday night?
I mean, that's the direction.
Monday's
She's
already
available.
okay, maybe it's better for everybody.
Yeah, that's
Long
the
weekend, Bill?
Yeah.
Is it a
Holiday,
weekend?
Monday.
Monday's a holiday?
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday's holiday, you have to
Monday's
do
not
it
good.
Tuesday, probably in the morning.
See, they already thought about that.
So did I when I made arrangements to be away.
So I would just,
You want a motion to do it in the morning?
yeah, we prepared a couple of motions.
Okay.
One, if select somebody to do it in the evening, okay, or to do it in the morning.
Were you talking the 15th or the 22nd?
22nd.
Oh, okay, I'm good.
Okay, that's good, so
I
we're,
thought you said the 15th next. No, okay.
okay. Be it resolved that the start time for the regular meeting of council for Tuesday, May 22nd be changed to, I like to make it 10 o'clock, that's all
Sure.
right, because I have to drive down to Collingwood for the police services, okay?
Make it 6.
And I guess I should get some, oh, we need some signatures on here too, initials as well.
You said 6 a.m. then?
10 a.m. It wouldn't be so bad, but we don't know if Ron will
No.
be back or not, okay?
No, I mean, you shouldn't plan that.
No, it's true.
Okay. Be it resolved that the start time for the regular meeting of council for Tuesday, May 22nd, 2018 be changed to 10 a.m. in council chambers. All those in favor? Okay, we're into information. That's been circulated, the check register, Township of Southgate resolution, mayor and council reports and announcements. Ken?
No, thanks.
Kevin? Ron?
I don't know which department, but I heard the gentleman here tonight. I know he doesn't want us to look into it, but I think we have to have some recommendations from the staff, whichever department is applicable, to look at that skidoo use in the winter months only and guard the playground or whatever. I know he says we shouldn't do it, but we do need something to come from someone with some recommendations for us to look at.
Okay, so do we want to, do we have a consensus to ask staff to do that?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so that's
So
a
it'll come
directive.
back to corporate services,
Yeah.
not next week, but the
Okay.
next month.
I'd
Okay,
also like to see the staff also do something with this problem the taxi man has. because I can see his point. I mean, he could be picking up handicapped people, but he hasn't got a handicap sticker, and he has to help them out.
Yeah.
And I know of a case when there was a lady who was doing the same thing for a lady when we had the clinic uptown, and she got ticketed because she had to help the lady in.
Yeah.
So,
So
and I
do we-
think that's wrong.
Okay, so do we have a consensus for that?
Yes.
Okay?
And the third thing I have, your worship, is I'd like to thank the two firefighters that spoke here this evening. It was nice, very professional people, and they spoke very professionally. And I appreciate that. Thank you. And that's all I have, your worship.
Lorraine?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Bob?
No, I'm good, thank you, except for thanking the two presenters tonight and the other firemen who sent out emails over the past week. They put a lot of effort into it, and it's appreciated. They serve their community well. Thank you.
So our next council meeting will be approving the budget. Right now, the municipal part of the budget is 0%. That's what we're proposing for our final resolution. And the school tax goes down, so it means that the average homeowner will pay a little bit less. They had an announcement on the school, and that's gonna be about a $25 million project, okay, so that was good news for the community. It was expected that it's taken a long time to get to the point. And they've indicated that they may be breaking ground sometime this month, so that would be great. So we have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Be it resolved that the regular meeting of council is hereby adjourned at 8:35. All those in favor?
Yeah.